Chapter 1. I am awake. I was looking out the window as the rain hit the Victorian single-pane glass. Our family's cat was close, sitting on the windowsill alongside me. The soft rock of the baby bouncer that was framed out of a strong wiring allowed me to rock back and forth gently on my back. I am maybe 10 months old, and I am awake. This is my earliest memory. My mother walked down the hall. I was napping. Perhaps I was 12 years old. I heard a whisper of a name and opened my eyes. My mother was standing there, quite surprised, and said, "How did you know I was here?" I replied to her, "You said my name." "I didn't say Shannon," she said. I replied, "No, you said Amiel." I walked down the hallway on the 3rd floor of our home, past my brother's room and my mother's office, into the small kitchen at the end of the hall that overlooked the backyard. I stood at the windows of the kitchen and saw an angel floating in the air, a white light that expanded with what looked like wisps of wings. I was lucid dreaming. I was perhaps 8 years old. Staring into my own eyes at 13 years old, I didn't see a body or a girl. I saw a universe, a galaxy that had been told it was a girl, that had been told it was small. I would sometimes stare into my eyes, so captivated by the absurdity of it all. As I got older, looking into my own eyes became scary before it became miraculous again. These memories tell a story of unfolding. So many of us have had phenomena in our lives that we either told ourselves were falsities created in our mind, or that we blocked out, perhaps thinking they meant we were crazy. Imagination is clairvoyance, my mentor Daniel Pitt once said in a mediumship class I was taking. Remembering this has allowed me to look back over my life and see the miracles that surrounded my experiences regularly. It has given me access to a world that is unseen to many and yet felt by all if we choose to see. This isn't a book about clairvoyance or mediumship. It's a book about the entire spectrum of living. It's the love, loss, pain, miracle, and divine nature of our being. It is us, brilliant and shining. I am a reflection of the whole, and with that in mind, what you read here will be access to parts of yourself shown from a new or perhaps familiar perspective. It will either open up new possibilities or confirm that which you already have felt for some time. It's a book for us, and it starts with I am. I am here for one reason: to be the expression of divine, loving consciousness, but I don't know that yet. What I quote-unquote know is that I live in a home that is slightly different from that of my neighbors or peers. There are more than just family members in my home. There are nuns and ballet dancers and chefs and photographers and lesbians and gays and those yet to decide. This is the home that I was born in and I lived in until I was 18. I am part of a community that is beyond blood. This is the norm for me. I am open then. Open to speak to everyone. I don't learn discrimination until I start school. From this point, I can feel myself fighting the moments where discrimination was present, where I was treated a different way than others, where they were treated a different way than I, where groups of people would push away or click together. It was like watching the strangest dance of popularity for reasons that never made initial sense. I was taught discrimination in school, but universal acceptance had taken root much earlier. It was in the smallest of things that I began to harden to the inner space of imagination and inner knowing as a child. I remember feeling that if I was too open to everything around me, if I was too connected, that I wasn't going to be safe anymore. What a poor story to be held. And it has been a part of a closing and an opening that has taken shape over the years, allowing me to reflect on both states. The state of pure, unconditional love and acceptance for all, and the state of fear and being closed off as a result of something being quote-unquote taken from me. My innocence in most cases. Physical boundaries were my life's challenge, and one of the lessons that I am learning in this expression of the divine. Being able to hold both states as if they are two apples, one held in each hand, allows me to witness and make a conscious choice. If I had never had an experience of either, I wouldn't have access to consciously choose a state to be as an expression. This part is of the utmost importance. If our environment or inner state has never given us a reflection of unconditional love, will we be able to conjure it from a conscious state? Chapter 2, I am. I am the expression of light consciousness, and this is one story of that expression. It's the time to reflect now on what is your true makeup. What do you, quote unquote, know about yourself? What do you truly know? How can you perceive your quote unquote self? What does your divine self communicate to you? Can you tap into that space of deep knowing is the question here. The ultimate access line to your direct source of creation. Newsflash, it's you. It's all of you. It's us. I remember the moments of other when, quote unquote, they were present. When there were others with me that couldn't be seen but were felt most regularly now that I think about it. I never felt alone. I always felt guided and protected. Perhaps this is a byproduct of growing up in the environment that I did, but I have learned otherwise as my years have shown me new perspectives. I was laying in my bed at around 5 years old. A man was standing next to me, gray beard and hair, almost silver or white, just standing and watching. I wasn't scared. If anything, I may have felt disappointed when I turned to him with my full attention and he disappeared. These moments are an expression of the unseen. The moments where the perceived world tells us we must be lost in our imagination. But if we move within and harness our innate power of deep listening, there is another truth to be discovered. We are coming into a time that is of deep devotion. Devotion to the spirit within. In order to access the spirit within, we must decipher what is not the spirit within. And this is the challenge that has faced us until this point. This moment now is the opportunity, the shift. As you are reading or hearing this, it is your official invitation to cultivate the awareness that some of your quote-unquote answers within are stories that have been created by your cultured past. And some answers within are your direct line to spirit, source, energy, God. I pretend that I don't feel the immensity of belonging to a race that doesn't have a body. From this perspective, the life experience is foreign to me. How do I get out of here? I once asked a Buddhist monk who was giving a lecture. There was no reply. I was 8 years old. It's part of the experience here to have and to have lost. The moments of fullness and of emptiness are all a part of His divine expression. We are coming into a time now where the nature of our thoughts are brewing a new kind of consciousness that is tuned into a frequency that has yet to be experienced by this earth. It is other, and this book will be assisting to guide you in arriving at the deeper knowing that resides within us all. It's not an if you feel it, it's rather a when did you forget, or are you ready to remember? Hold the light of all existence or possibility in this one existence. It becomes a choice. The choice isn't activated by a medicine or a plant or a reactionary experience. It is happening to all of us now, the light activation of our cells. So how do we move through it? What is coming to the earth now for us to be integrated into? It's everything. It's movement and light and sound and frequency, the answers and the questions all in one. It is the light of existence that is becoming further illuminated. We are becoming able to, quote unquote, see more of who, what, and how we are. And isn't it both beautiful and painful at the same time? Isn't it all the emotions that exist cycling through our day-to-day occurrence? And aren't we more conscious of it unfolding? Aren't we more reflective of being able to witness it? Aren't we all more aware that it is a happening and we are the directors of the happening? Isn't it all so blissfully beautiful that duality is the only way that we can stand the incredible beauty until this point? This is changing. We are moving into a bliss body, or perhaps it's moving back into a bliss body. The full circle is always present. You are coming into a time of great awakening. We are watching your ascension. Allow these words to flow through you. This is the mastery of indignation. Without judgment or fixed mindset, allow the words to flow through you, allowing them to tickle and resonate as they will when they hit that part of you that recognizes the truth for your own experience to evolve. This is the path of honing in on your conscious expression. Become so sensitive to the words that you can hear to the song that is being sung just for you. In the daylight in my dreams, I hear a connection. But in the daylight, what I see is only my reflection. When I wake up from my fantasy, I'll come back to reality and see what shall become of me. A song I wrote when I was around 10 years old in a songwriting class my mother took me to. Let us move into practice. The honing of the skill to hear and feel the resonance of words is where we will start. The tenor of our voice, the vibration of our emotions, the intention in our conscious and subconscious is felt through our cellular makeup. Our capacity here is so great. We are magicians with a great magic that we weave with our energy. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. You are here to cast a unique frequency that affects your surroundings, and you have a great responsibility to your environment to cast an energetic net that is of the utmost level of care, compassion, and love. The resonance matters so much. Deep in your heart-centered practice, notice what you take into your body. With this awareness, your frequency will begin to rise and rise. Your personal signature and song will begin to have a beautiful effect on those around you. Your presence alone will be a great gift of light, frequency, vibration for the good of all. Plants, animals, people, and the unseen world of your ancestors and extended soul family will benefit from your expression. It all matters. You matter. We matter. It's us. Chapter 3, Deep Listening. This lesson is for the ones who are ready to do the practice, to sit and incorporate deep listening, to be a channel for the frequency and vibration that is running through your cells at every moment. We can think of it as the sense of illumination. Just as movement illuminates and excites bioluminescence, so does the expression of Source illuminate and excite our cells. It can sometimes be identified or expressed as a feeling, sometimes as a knowing, sometimes as an image or a sound or a memory or a sign or a call from a friend or a newspaper article or a bird sounding at just the right moment. The expression of Source is in absolutely everything. This is the nature and what is meant when we say that everything is connected. We mean that everything is like that bioluminescence, the plankton that responds to the expression of frequency and source moving through the field to excite in such a way. And are you listening to it? 4 days into writing this book, I was sitting in the sauna at the local Lifetime Fitness in Brentwood, Tennessee. A woman in the sauna immediately shared that she liked my bathing suit and toenails. I thanked her and let her know that Rafa had picked out the nail polish. It was the first time I had let him choose the color while we were in India. She shared that it was the color of her birthstone, purple for amethyst. I asked when her birthday was. She shared it was February 24th, the birthday of our mentor in India, Shashi, and the birthday of my father. She then went on to share with me that she feels like God talks to her in the form of animals and images in her head. She shared a few stories with me in which time I acknowledged that I also believed God or Source to behave in such a way if we are listening and present. For us to communicate with you, there must be a way in which you can remove your logical mind from the present state. You have to allow yourself to feel quote-unquote silly at first, sometimes absolutely ridiculous, as this is what you were told when you were young in most cases. If you are too much in your imagination, you are ridiculous. For most of you, putting your logical mind on a shelf will feel utterly absurd. However, with a little practice, it will be the most liberating and recharging experience that you have access to on a daily and moment-to-moment basis. Think of the last time you just sat and allowed your mind to just witness what was held inside it. If you meditate or perform any repetitive practice such as walking, knitting, washing dishes, cleaning, folding laundry, working in the garden, staring out the window, driving, you might remember feeling like you could think better in these states. It's not uncommon to have sparks of insight while driving cross country or performing the most menial of tasks. Let's just say in this state, the ability to excite the inner knowing becomes more accessible by Source. Our main barriers now are distractions of the mind. Without emptiness, we can never be filled. So the process of emptying the mind is of the utmost importance, and this requires time, faith, and feeling a little absurd sometimes. Sometimes it comes right through the center of my head. Other times it feels like it pulls through the core of the earth and funnels right into the center of my chest, up slowly through my sacral chakra and through the base of the spine at Muladhara chakra. We are here to inform you of the sacredness of your being. We are in a stage where the mind will play tricks, telling you what is real or quote-unquote unreal. We are finding that most of you have no idea what is real anymore. You have forgotten to listen to your own answers. In this state, you are truly blind. Blind to your own divine makeup. Blind to who and how you are. This is the true epidemic. The gateway that is here and opening now to you is the access point, the divine channel present for all to experience. It will transform hundreds of thousands, but not everyone will be silent enough to hear it. It's a calm that resides within you, and it moves through the central channel. Allow it to unfold in you. Perhaps step aside and feel where a conversation exists that feels more like imagination, but is perhaps so much more. Something that has been waiting for you to listen to it since you were able to identify your own internal voice. The day that you were able to be a witness of your own thoughts and name them is the same day this very gift became accessible to you. In this instance, allow yourself to be silent now, just for a moment. If this is new to you, perhaps start by placing your feet on the ground and simply focus on your feet. Then notice when your mind and attention drifts onto another topic. Notice the lack of feet in the new direction that the mind might go. Now, there is nothing wrong with the new direction, but just notice what is shifting the tide of your thoughts. See if you are able to imagine the space that is holding the thoughts. If you are to witness and not try to change or fix your thoughts in any way, find a little separation between you and them, what happens to your perceived awareness? Does it move? Does it expand? And where does it expand to? This simple shift of expanding your conscious awareness is the beginning of the practice. It is creating the space for thoughts to arise and to fall out of this space, this expanse of awareness. Nothing to change or fix. This space of awareness and presence is the vehicle in which Source flows through to speak to us in any moment that we desire. The trick is to hold the expanse so that the questions don't cause the contraction. Your questions will sound like this when moving into a contracted state. Am I doing this right? This isn't working. There's nothing happening. I don't know how to do this. People will think I'm so strange. There is nothing happening. If these thoughts arise, just watch them. Watch as you might move to inspect them and give them more meaning, and see if you can expand your awareness to simply hold the thoughts. Notice what happens in your body. Notice if the thoughts come with a stronger than normal emotion. Watch to see where this emotion lives in your body. This is your body telling you something, and this moment here is a gift. It may not become clear when you first notice it, but your awareness of it has now given it conscious sight, in which case it will be able to move to the surface and get shaken out by life in a more conscious way, no longer hidden in the shadows to run the show or steal your attention away from being the great expanse of consciousness holding all possibility. In Chapter 4, the sacredness of your being. We are in a state of paralysis. The energy has been stuck in us for too long. We can see it in faces, in skin, in emotions, in heart connections, and non-reciprocated energetic exchanges. There is a holding of so much, a holding of energy, a holding of desire, of life force and pure expression. How can you let it release from your body? Where are you holding it? What would it look like to let that energy move freely through you? How ridiculous or majestic would you look? Can you notice how the mind wants to judge before it even arrives there? And this is the practice. The practice is feeling absolutely ridiculous and letting the majesty of the source of pure expression flow through, as it will in the enigmatic flow. If I am honest, there are a few times that I feel this kind of source energy through my body, manifesting in pure form. And it's not necessarily always present in the same modality. I am also experiencing the stuckness. It began to click for me one day that if I just moved my logic aside and my conscious awareness of a quote-unquote I dancing, and allowed the music to be the manipulator of my cells, that I could completely let go and witness the majestic way in which Source will flow through me. This has happened in moments of orgasm as well. A complete release of everything, muscle, sound, motion, and inhibition. Complete release that results in pure, enigmatic flow. Sometimes it can cause apparitions, a gateway to another consciousness, an altered state of manifestation. This portal of the masculine and feminine uniting is the ultimate gateway of pure expression of divine consciousness. And for so many of us, we have never even considered that this was a possibility for us, and even more so, a part of our beautiful design. To know that we have been stuck is one aspect of the puzzle. To move to release and ignite the places in us that have been asleep, to our deep listening and deep knowing, This is where we have room to play and explore, and this is really where this book becomes something of a manifesto for all of us. Let us all feel more deeply together. Let us be so in love, anger, rage, jealousy, and gratitude that we become grateful for the sheer emotion of it all, the sheer energy that can manipulate ourselves. What a wonder! What a brilliant design that allows us to be, do, and feel any number of things. As I was writing this part, I found myself filling or overflowing with a feeling. The feeling said, yes, more of that. I have been typing this book with my eyes closed and then opening every so often to correct typos, etc. As I have been writing this part in particular, I have closed my eyes and felt myself being filled with a warm golden light, like a presence is sitting and occupying my body. It feels full of life, emotions. It feels like it could explode from the seams, and yet there are no seams. So often I have been afraid to feel too much, but what if the greatest gift of all is to feel it all so deeply and to be so grateful for every last drop of the feeling? To hold the space and to be in such gratitude for it all. What if this was the big thing that we have all been missing? Was to just feel and to be so overjoyed with the capacity for emotion, to flow freely through our body without obstruction, not to hold it with a desire to own the feeling, but to be so aware of the channel or vessel that as the emotion arises, it is felt so fully and so deeply that it will never require a moment in such a way again. It will have had the moment of now in the spotlight, only to turn into the next moment of now. It will have been given its light of pure, uninhibited, and glorious expression, without obstruction, without holding, but with truly letting go. The sacredness of your being lies within the moments between your thoughts, the moments in the expanded consciousness, the space between the quote-unquote I and the emotion. So instead of quote-unquote I feel, it becomes I am the manifestation of my thoughts, of my emotions. I am the example of my thoughts. I am sacred in the space where all is possible, in the manifestation that exists. This is the magic and magician all in one. We are curating a frequency for your design, the symbol of sacred, the mantra of your essential being, the song, the sound, the tone that only you can express in its full radiance. You are the enigma. It is you, it is I, it is us, a symphony of pure radiance. Then the emotions that roll through you move through your sacred tone. Similarities will exist in some of us, but it will never be quite the same expression of divine consciousness as your true nature. It will be as though it's all you could ever be when you just let go and allow that full-blown self-expression to arise, bursting through the seams that were never there to begin with. This is what occurs when you open to your heart-centered practice, the practice that allows for you to connect with your deepest channeled insights. Allowing it to come through you will or may take some time. We are here to remind you that it is your innate nature, the listening. The question and the answer are the same. You contain both. Whether it is in the space of deep listening within or the manifested answer as God or Source dances through life, providing you with the signs that guide the flow to the direction of your manifested thoughts. Remember, I am the manifestation of my thoughts. And the world will reflect back to the positive or negative charge of the expressed emotions that you are holding or allowing. It's a good idea to create that space, the space between the thought and the I. Let the I, or the EYE, observe the thoughts and give it the full attention to either move it to the conscious manifestation or to move the EYE to a new direction. Allow it to be easy. Allow it to be a conscious act of your sacred being. Chapter 5. So it begins. It's the tone that gets us every time, the thought form that creates the tone, and we all feel it. No residency resides in a thought that has originated from a place of unknowing. The seed of the consciousness is known. The seed of consciousness is the space before the thought arrives. Like the moment before you turn on the water faucet, the intention to turn the knob is the seed of manifestation, the source energy moving to excite, and all you have to do is allow yourself to be turned on. It can be that simple. Allow it to be that simple. The voices in your head will no longer feel like voices, but a deep feeling, and in that time it will feel like it is all you, only you. It has always been you. Allow yourself to be so open to the expression of the true nature that you are. Allow yourself to be so open to the infinite expression of your being. It is you. It is all of you. It is us. We are all connected, exploding, and brilliant and beautiful in every moment of this existence. There is no other. It is all the same. We are the family. We are the thought and the manifestation. We are everything and the voice of nothing that comes before. It is all within you, no separation, no withholding. The forest moves us in this way. As the wind continues to rustle ever so slowly or quickly through the trees, it allows us to sense the intermingling and dispersion of a symphony in surround sound. The nature of ourselves are the same. We will continue to say this to you in so many ways until you have no other option than to feel the sheer resonance in every part of you, to hear the signature song that is being sung just for you. For some, it will come in chapter 1. Others in this sentence right here. Wherever it finds you, allow yourself to feel ridiculous and expansive and bursting at the seams. You may have noticed by now that there are a few levels of consciousness occurring within one. It's an example that time or consciousness is simultaneous. The experience is layered in a way that we have the essence of the information coming through, then the reflection of what this means for you as the reader. Then we have the experience of what is occurring for myself, the writer, or in this specific occurrence, the channel. Even the way in which this book is written provides insight into how we can both hold the expanse of allowing a conversation to unfold while also being present to the experience of the I that is having the experience. And in that same moment, we can hold the consciousness of the other EYE. But is there another? This book would suggest otherwise, wouldn't it? Wouldn't these phenomena that are being experienced now suggest that multiple consciousness can be held simultaneously? And if not 3 consciousness, how about 10, or 12, or 33, or 89, or 1,000? As I am writing this, I feel that my emotional body is beginning to crack open. I feel filled with energy, tears, and a fullness in my chest. I am so grateful. I can feel the outpouring of information coming through, like a cyclone forming and funneling into my consciousness, becoming more refined and identifiable with each oscillation. The quote-unquote I doesn't have to know what is coming in. The only task for the quote-unquote I is to imagine the expanse. The only task for the I is to imagine the expanse. Imagine and given itself fully to the possibility of it all, of being both the question and the answer, the writer and the audience, the director and the actor, to be every single one of the modes of expression. If we can hold all understanding of consciousness, then there is never an excuse to be cruel. If we can hold the expanse, to feel it all, to know the depth of our being is within every single cell of every single thing, there is then nothing in this world that is not us. And we either love ourselves so fiercely, or we continue to cause pain so fiercely. It is all us, you, I. We are the same. No difference, no separation. It's all me. It's all you. It's all us. This is the true meaning of self-love. If you can practice love on the one that feels like it is your quote-unquote I, the illusory I, if you can get so good at this one aspect of quote-unquote love and quote-unquote care, then you can direct this and recognize when the feeling is returned to you by the other eyes. This role play, this elementary school of self-love, prepares you for the next step, the step of justification for wrongdoings, as it's here, as it holds the secret to what is not love. Chapter 6. Allow it all. It's not as if there is anyone who could ever really judge you for your true nature, the one that you have held so closely to your chest, the one that you don't show to even yourself. It's both the magician and the magic, so if you can't identify that which you are, how can you identify that which you are not? The trick is to allow it all, the good, as you say, and the ugly. It's all you. It needs to be owned by us all. It's not for one person to say, I am good and they are bad. It's for all of us to say, where in myself have I not been allowing the expression of all of it? Where in myself have I been the one to judge all of my behaviors and call it good or God? The path is clear and solemn for those who feel they must behave in such a way that there are no margins for error. The path is clear for those who demand to see the full breadth of who they are. No separation, no obstruction. It's in the way that we communicate our intentions with one another. We can all feel it. We can feel when someone is blocked, holding, and solemn in their vow to hide behind the known, the illusory I. But remember, I am the manifestation of my thoughts, and the way in which we align with our true nature is a reflection of the way in which we align with the world around us. We are either in allowance of it, or we are in resistance to the occurrence of life itself, happening to us and for us simultaneously, as we are both the wind and the trees, the thought and the expression, no separation, no division. It's all you, it's all me, it's us. There is a distinct change that is occurring with the vibrational frequency occurring now in the realm of thought. We are giving the opportunity, the choice, the reflection to experience this frequency now. It's not happening then, tomorrow, or any other moment. It is here for you in this moment. Now, no other moment exists for this to occur. It is here right now. Do not wait. There is no then, only now. See it as it is unfolding in you and for you, bursting at the seams of the heart-centered space, the seams that have been sewn by the imaginary occult in our minds, the seams that say, this is my heart and that is yours. This is my energy and that is yours. And thus I must do everything I can to announce and protect and plunge forth into the future of my own agenda. But your agenda is the one agenda. It's happening to you and for you, and you are creating it moment by moment with your words and tone and vibration and thought. Over and over and over again, we will repeat this to you. There is no other. It's all being created by you. We are the ether. We are the sky. We are the breath of life in the lungs of all things. We are here to announce our presence to the center of your being, where you know, and that is all you need, just to know. Close your eyes and allow it all to unfold from you. No holding, just allowing every bit of you, of us, to explode from the center over and over and over again, without agenda, but with pure alchemy of expression. We are here to create, not to judge the creation. What a mystery it would be to create without judgment, but with the pure essence of Source being fully self-expressed in every cell of our being. No holding, only allowing. This is magic. It's only in the making of a thought that we find ourselves conflicted. That moment when we are moving to, quote unquote, decide whether we want or don't want to do something. However, if we can expand our consciousness out and move our awareness to the outer rims, we will find that the answer finds us. This is the trick of all tricks. No searching or logic required. It is there waiting for the taking. All we have to do is step aside and allow it in, or perhaps allow it out. The night before this, I met 5 women. I made 6. The 6 of us had not shared the same space ever in this lifetime. And the 6 of us shared such a heart-opened intimacy that the way in which we were able to speak into and hold each other's dream and desire in such a way resounded in my space so deeply that I felt a sense of what sharing consciousness feels like between many. Simultaneously holding the space of the group and the individual and the self, it was a physical representation of synergy that held a divinity of pure allowance and flow between all aspects of the divine feminine. All while the masculine energy in us was equally balanced and present, not pushing to achieve, but allowing to discover, acknowledge, and inquire. I could feel myself opening to see and feel the story and song that was coming through each individual. The words that had come through this book, these pages, were guiding me to understand how to open my energy in such a way, and to remember that it is you, it is I, it is all of us. No separation, no forcing, no withholding. That just as the energy and insight moves through me, it equally moves through the other women. Like Source moving through the forest, not only are we all the wind, we are all the trees. Allowing the continual cadence of energy to flow through us was an alchemical symphony. We were the expression of bioluminescence, and we were supporting each other to grow and expand and to deepen and to open with each word, touch, laugh, or tear as it emerged and activated ourselves. You see, as you open your mind and imagination to the song, to the possibility, Nature and ether begin to speak more loudly. No longer does it only show up when a friend calls just as you were thinking about them, but it shows up in absolutely everything that you do. You become the magic and the magician. It's you, it's me, it's all of us. No separation, no division. It's speaking through everything and anything if you allow it to play in such a way. If you are close enough to your center to hear it. If you are wide enough in your expanse to allow it all. Chapter 7. Isn't it everything? We are trying to withhold the essence of who we are from others. And isn't that so strange? When we consider that we move throughout the day and night without holding that which is so deep inside of us, in the sense that everything that we have ever felt from the inside, we are often trying to blunt the expression of, to not be too much or too little of something. And isn't it strange to even consider that we would attempt to do this? And is it any wonder that we are infested with dis-ease? If you block the natural flow of anything, bacteria and infestation builds up and eventually brews into a virus of sorts. And isn't that what has occurred here? Years and centuries and decades of withholding, holding back our pure expression of love, of life, of energy, of it all. So allow yourself to feel it all. Allow it to move through you without holding. Can you try? Can you attempt it? Do you feel the need to run into the woods, take off your clothes and howl into the moon to release it all from your skin? Maybe, and wouldn't that be fantastic? Experience the witnessing of the pressure that resides inside you when you hold who you are within you. When you hold the anger or the sadness or the love, when you hold it, where does it go? How does it feel? When you hold it, doesn't it increase in size? Doesn't it occupy more space? Doesn't it take more of your time, energy, frustrated excellence? Doesn't it absolutely exhaust you to hold it in? We are into the fact that you can't hold it in forever. We are into the conversation that holding is what is preventing the growth of you as a species. The time to hold is over. Now is the time to fully express, to be and feel and allow for it all. Isn't it everything that you ever wanted if you are to allow yourself to feel it? Isn't being the full-blown expression of you and the thing that is bursting to come out of you? And it's not about being loved from the outside, remember. It's all a reflection of you. It's me, it's you, it's us. No division, no separation, no withholding. It's allowing everything all at once in every moment now. We say these words with the insight of resistance that will be apparent in you. The natural push against what feels like it is the quote-unquote natural to your condition as a human. However, what if this was the most unnatural? What if the tendency to hold back the true tone of your divine frequency was the most unnatural? What if this is the true alien force at work in our society, the nature of discrimination and oppression of the light of the soul, the expression of the source? What if this is the alien frequency, the most unnatural? What if this is the dream that we are poking and prodding to wake up from? What if this is the crux of it all? When I was younger, I didn't learn discrimination until I began school. Only then did discrimination become a reality to me. And isn't that strange and wild and sad and quite curious? Isn't it everything that is disresonant? Isn't it everything out of alignment with everything else to discriminate? The consciousness of discrimination, of good or bad, or A or D, or categorization of intelligent and not intelligent, or rich or poor, begin to lay the foundation for the infinite comparison that lives inside the ego in such an insidious way. And do you remember when it was placed there for you? Do you remember when you began to consider that I am I and you are you, rather than I am you and you are me and we are consciousness connected in every way? What a beautiful and different experience of life. What a miracle it would all be. No separation, no division, no withholding, just pure blown self-expression, allowing it all, and isn't it everything? This is the time for all of us to ignite the spaces that we have been holding in the shadows of the psyche. The spaces where you don't look, as you have been told at some point in time, in your lifetime, that this is not you, that you should or shouldn't be this way, that you should be different from how you naturally express. From the root of you, before the idea of other, there was no separation. You were in awe at the world, at the surrounding, at the illuminated nature of being. No judgment, but in awe of pure creation and the expression of creation. So when did we lose that awe? When did we go from miraculous curiosity and presence to forsaken thoughts of discriminatory edging? Moving the human race to a place where all it wants is more, as the inner space has been so deeply forgotten. The illusory I is in the mirror, but the divine one is everywhere but there. Chapter 8, Being That. I come as one of infinite possibilities. The core of existence is never one, it is void of number. It is everything and nothing. It is the expression of the void, the magic and the magician, the question and the answer, the beginning and the end, the never-ending circle. It is samsara, and it is happening in you and for you. Can we be and find ourselves in the center? As I am writing this part, I am seeing a circle with a dot in the center in my mind's eye. I am hearing a poem I wrote in my teens with a line that read, I have reached the center of the circle only once. Out, oh how I long to return. The place where I am completely satisfied. Words cannot describe the feeling, but then again, words cannot describe many things. But if you looked into my eyes and touched my hands, I could bring you in with me, into the center of my consciousness, the center of my being, where you know, and that is all you need, just to know. The mysterious angel Amiel will be there to catch you fall. If you fear the unknown, you will not proceed. If you fear, you will fail. When writing this, I had no subject of where the writing was coming from. It was just there, pouring out of me. And now, almost 25 years later, the words are joining this chapter like they had been seeds planted in a timeline that made an entry in simultaneous moments. It knew that it would be here in this chapter, and it knew 25 years ago that it was something other coming through. It's all simultaneous, they say. I can hear the words moving through my body, not as a frequency or a tone actually, but as a knowing. And the knowing itself carries a vibration, an expanse, a clarity that refines as it comes into my consciousness, and all I have to do is allow it all. Be that, a centered state of being, of I am. As the phenomena of memory pulls in, there is no other moment. And the consciousness that holds both the memory and the experience of this moment holds both expressions at once. Being that, all at once. No division, no separation. the held state of being everything that the conscious manifestation can hold in the now. When I feel into this state, it is, at first, in my third eye, like someone is peering into that space, like a light is being shown in the center of my forehead, like there is an opening at the center bringing light, tone, images, words, and feelings with it. I can then move my conscious awareness to the center of my chest. An explosion is here. I can find the explosion of energy here at the core of my heart-centered space. This part, this aspect feels like it can be the core of how we move energy to be felt by others. Where we are open or stuck in our heart, our core, this energy center will then move to transmit our frequency to those around us. And the hands provide the healing of all healing. They become the true power of this human form. Laying of hands becomes the system in which we can cure and heal and restore all illness. We are designed and the designers of such sacred science that we have locked away from ourselves. The hands transmit and transmute. It's all there for the taking, for the manifested expression of the divine. The expression of energy through the hands can move us all into a new state of allowing. Moving and running the energy through our body in a way that will clear the passages of energy in a miraculous way. And it's all here within us. It's you, it's me, it's us. No division, no separation, no withholding, but opening and allowing it all. We are here for you now. This image of us, this image of the one, of all of us united in perfection, in perfect harmony of frequency, sound, tone, the song that is all of us, the energy of us. The simplest thought can create the largest ripple of change in us. The presence and the expanse that we are able to hold in order to allow the ripple to emerge throughout, to infuse throughout, to open and fold and integrate with each oscillation into each and every cell that it enters. This is the meaning that we are searching to align with your soul. This is the initiation of it all, the ripple, the drop in the ocean, the sheer chemical creation that occurs when thought forms frequency, which forms the matter that we experience in this earthly place. And this expression is in your hands. It moves throughout your entire body. But your hands hold so much more than we have been told, that we know. The hands are wielding the magic. It's all within you. It is wielding through you. It is air and sky and earth, and it moves through you, through us. It is always present. We are always holding or allowing the energy to flow. So if I am the manifestation of my thoughts, and the thought is the source that flows through to excite and illuminate the expression of cells, of that bioluminescence, and the cells are part of our material makeup in this form, and the expression moves through us to beautifully when we are allowing the expression to flow freely, without obstruction, without division, and without judging or withholding, then the wave of frequency that moves through will emit from every part of this physical and soul-filled expression. And the hands will demonstrate the expression of it all. It will be the link from the source to the environment at hand. As I am writing this, I am getting flashes of hand positions of sages throughout the time and history. I am getting flashes of Buddha, Pharaoh, Gandhi, Christ, Mother Mary, and the images of saints or shamans that we have seen throughout our histories, the mudras of time. As the book flows out of me, unfolds through me, and emerges from me, I am surprised at the continual cohesion of it all. Nothing planned, but simply allowing it all to flow so beautifully through in each moment. Allowing my body to move more, almost like when watching a musician playing music. Instead, I am noticing my own head moving and body moving as if I were playing a song. How incredibly magical. I am laughing even as I am typing with my eyes closed. What a gift. They say to breathe into the hands, to allow the heart-centered core to expand and to see the energy moving from the heart and into the hands. They are showing me that we can move this energy from the earth and through the heart into the hands, and from the sky through the heart and into the hands. From this, I see the creation of a double helix forming from the cross current of the earth and sky, the mother and father. I decide to practice drawing energy from both earth and sky, as this technique is new to me. I hold my hands out in front of me, facing each other, palm to palm, without the hands touching, to feel and build the energy between my hands. I can feel the strands of energy throughout my hands, and I move my hands to face my body and feel an immediate energy charged at my neck and chest, where my hands are floating above. I try this a couple of times with the same sensation increasing, when I place my fullest attention of drawing the energy through the earth and sky into the heart and through the arms out of the hands. How miraculous. I will continue the practice. Chapter 9. And isn't it everything? The feelings that take over are one and the same as our thoughts that take over. No difference, no separation. The thought and feeling becomes indistinguishable. Where is the space between the thought and emotion? Where do we find that space between the creation of an emotion and the thought that formed it, or vice versa? There is no space. It is the continual flow of energy, and this is where we have shown you the nature of the fractal. When we come from love, it's all that there is. There is nothing else that can come from love, as love is the seed of consciousness. There is nothing else, so if all expression and consciousness is here, then the seed must allow for all possible thought, emotion, and manifestation. And aren't we creating all of it? And isn't it everything at once, unfolding from us, never happening to us, but manifesting from the way in which we unfold into it, and it unfolds into us? No separation, no division. It is all you. It is all me. It is us. There is a calling, a void that you feel, that we all feel. It is the gap of self-knowing. It is the searching for something, quote-unquote, other than self. And it feeds on the emptiness that we become consumed by. It's no longer I am everything in this state. It becomes an experience of everything is outside of me. And therefore I am lost and powerless and foreign to my own inner nature. And isn't this the root of it all? It's there, the most immense gap of inner knowing, of understanding that which you are and that which you are not. Isn't it all asking you to be drawn out of the center of your being, and instead to project into the illusory I of how and what and why we should identify as a self and them as an other? But there is no other. There is only us. It's you. It's me. It's all connected. It's everything. Can you feel it? The words come more quickly now. The meaning is felt through the frequency. The clarity of the words are exact. It's not an if, it's a now is the time. The words, we are in this experience for your ascension. All the moments compounding and aligning. Now, the phenomena that is your life, in this one moment, now. It's not then. There is no then. The happening is unfolding from you now. It is in the form of a stream of light consciousness unfolding through you. Remember, no withholding, only allowing it all to be the magic and the magician all at once. The wind and the trees, the bioluminescence and the plankton. It is to realize that the source and the seed is the nature of the infinite circle of God. This is here for you always, breathing through you, expressing out of you. It's all within you. It's all within you. No separation, no withholding, allowing it all. And isn't it everything? Isn't it everything you and we have ever wanted? Isn't it the exact opposite of what we have been told? The fears that hold in the body. Isn't it the expanse of being it all, you and I, in one? Isn't this the ultimate expression of love that is possible for us all? If I am you, and you are me, and we are the space in the midst of creation, we are the wind together and the trees. If the energy that we emit together as one consciousness changes everything, it allows for all expression and creation. It comes from love in a way where there is never comparison. There is no judgment. It is a wonderful journey of pure, conscious allowing. Allow it all, and isn't it everything? Isn't it everything you ever wanted? This one moment of pure expression, love unfolding. Chapter 10. It's happening. This isn't the time for figuring it out. This isn't the time for waiting. You have been waiting your whole life. You have been waiting in all the moments of your memory, analyzing, overthinking, so that you could make the quote-unquote right choice. It's not about the right choice. It's about moving with the flow that is present for you, being so in tune with the oneness of it all, that you are both the tide and the current. No holding, only allowing. Don't fight the current, my friend Juan Carlos once said as we were playing as adults at an amusement park in the water in Cuernavaca, Mexico. That one simple sentence that he said to me has come into my consciousness over and over and over again. I wonder if he knows the drop in the ripple of the ocean he created for me. So then the task at hand is to come into such a state of allowing and play, and moving through the days and moments without guilt, but with awe of the state of it all, in every moment, the state of all of us. Again, we will say to you, no I, no me, no separation, no division, only oneness. It's all happening through us and for us and unfolding into us and out of us, a manifestation for all. This won't be one of those books that you read once and then never read again. It's short and sweet and carries with it the reminders for you to refer to as the holding comes and goes, as you choose to remind yourself of the state of allowing, as you choose to remind yourself of the happening that is always and never and here for the taking, as it is the wind and the trees, and it's all occurring for us and through us. Over and over and over again, we will tell you, there is no then, only now, only you, only this moment, only us. What do we do with this feeling then? This sensation of overflowing and unfolding? As I stood in the Mother Kali temple in New Delhi, I felt myself unfolding from the heart. In fact, the feeling was more like my heart being torn open, pried open by the hands of the Mother, by the hands of Source, that I was blooming and unfolding from my heart-centered space, tender. I felt tenderness that had been stuck and obstructed. I laughed but not all of my laughter, and cried but not all of my tears. I was stuck, in the feeling of holding the emotions in my body. I couldn't let them through. They were in a cage of my making, afraid to feel too much, to be angry or sad or anxious or seen for those emotions. And why? I was stuck in the conscious frequency of other, that I was separate. I was in the illusion, never holding the state that I am the manifestation of my thoughts. I am in every moment unfolding into myself. I am in every moment offering the seed of creation that flows through to excite the cells and matter and frequency displayed for the world in my wake, in our wake, to experience and digest. It comes through us. We are consuming and feeding over and over and over again with the thoughts and seeds that we plant through the idea of separation or of isness. It's all happening, whether we believe it or not. It's happening now. It's a happening. We are coming into this moment with ease, with allowing, with breath, with love, outpouring from the depths of the space between it all. It is you, it is me, it is us. No separation, no division, only allowing it all now. It's happening. Chapter 11, Wasn't It All a Dream? The thought never came to me. It was the feeling that flooded me first. That was how I knew the difference. Before the thought, there was the feeling of a presence, of an experience, of a divine auric field, something that was present but not seen. This is the way in which we can train ourselves to sense the unknown and to make it known. The way in which we reach for the meaning and the reason causes us to move away from the feeling and closer to the illusion of what the mind creates in its asylum. It's not all asylum, however. The part that we cling to are the crazy-making vibrations that seem to capture us when we aim to reason with the isness of it all. So the quote-unquote cure is to move us, to move to whatever the feeling stems from and its direct knowing of an occurrence. The occurrence may be seen or unseen, but the knowing will be the expression that signals the truth coherence in the field. The vibrational resonance is always felt, not always seen. The vibrational field is felt, but not always seen. I awaken daily to how much is available for us without thought, but with a sensing of vibrational frequency and all the light that our eyes cannot see. This awareness spans mountains and oceans and matter and is the makeup of all the space in between. The excitation that infuses with source, life, God. It is unfolding expression. It is all, and it requires a channel to flow. This channel is both of our making and for our expression. It is both the container and the contained, the ebb and the flow. So we sit and watch it from afar, observing how we create meaning out of the occurrence. And when we consider the expression of this life, wasn't it all a dream? Wasn't it all a part of the conscious dream, asking us if we were going to be awake to the happening or asleep to it? In other words, are you going to be awake to the unfolding from you as source? Or will you be asleep to the unfolding of the expression of pure divine consciousness, echoing from the very center of the primordial sound that is just for you? Your tone, your frequency, never to be repeated and never quite the same expression. And it's all you, it's me, it's us, each reverberating like drops of rain into the infinite ocean of energy, never to be destroyed and never to be created quite the same again. A play, a dance, a performance of infinite proportions happening in this moment now. And isn't it all a dream? What is it to say that anything here is quote-unquote real? And if the realness of it all is in question, if the actual understanding or innerstanding of it all circles back to the same answer over and over and over again, the only true answer that can ever be known, which is, I know not if I know not of myself. If I cannot experience the fullness of what I am in all manifestation, then what is possible to be known in any other state? If the one expression that I have access to know so deeply remains unknown and hidden from myself, then in what state could I ever truly know anything other than not knowing? In this case, we enter into the darkness, where the illumination of our consciousness must shine in every place that has been hiding in the shadows, every piece of ourselves that we have been avoiding, drugging, distracting, abstaining, and withholding the complete flow of expression only to pretend that it fits into the box of the quote-unquote known. But none of this is a known expression, as we are the drops in the ocean that will never play in the same water or touch the same shore. We are infinite and always changing. The source energy that is never destroyed and never reborn. It is this pure experience that makes available absolutely everything that we desire to come manifest from our thoughts, from the very center of our being, when we allow the unknown to be illuminated fully. Chapter 12. We are the creators. We are creating in every moment. The sound frequency of everything is coming from the center of our being. And this is the way in which we affect our surroundings, like the drop in the ocean, affecting everything in the surrounding field. The ripple never dies, but transmutes into infinite expressions of itself. In this way, the intention of thought is that which creates the sustenance of the drop of creation, what affects the way in which the ripple extends throughout the surrounding field, which means how it affects absolutely everything and everyone in the field around us. You see, the ocean is everything in this example, and each of quote-unquote us, the drops in the ocean, create our own signature current in the ocean, all affecting the all. In this way, there is no separation, no division. It is you, it is me, it is us, unfolding from itself and into itself. The primordial sound of Om moving through the center of our being and through the field of matter and space. In this sense, we are both the source of creation and creation itself. We are neither all nor nothing. We are the dream and the dreamer, the wind and the trees, the container and the contained, the drop and the ocean, and it's all unfolding now, in this moment. No then, only now. The call for all of us now is to cultivate the deep listening. When we hear not from our ears, but from the center of our being, from the heart-centered space, from every cell of our body. In order to do this, we have to cultivate the quiet and calm that exists within us, the space without distraction, but with the great expanse of being the witness of self, to know thyself in all expressions without judgment of the creation of it all, but with unobstructed allowing and unfolding and awe and expanse for the fullest expression of it all. We are the seer and the unseen, the watcher and the watched. It's all happening to us and for us. It's all us. When our consciousness can be in the happening of this, we will transform the dream completely. I am the manifestation of my thoughts, the drop into the infinite ocean. I am everything, and as such, my actions towards anything and everything resound in my field immediately. No separation, no division. It's you, it's me, it's us. I am Aham Brahmasmi.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, thanks. And that is the ride.
Yay!
I think my legs might be, let's see how this goes.
Final page dropped.
When's book 2?
There you go. Yeah. You want to share any?
Did you feel it naturally? Because 12 is a nice even number. Did it naturally end there? You felt, or you kind of wrapped it?
It just stopped.
Right.
It was very clear that it was 12.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, my dear sister. Thank you. I could really feel like that puzzle, that question that was placed in you, you know, that you'd always known since childhood, you know, and that seeking and the quest and the answers. And it's that play between gaining something for yourself and where's my responsibility to step out, just like Rafa was saying earlier. I mean, we can have all this knowledge, but then there's that extra step of, and it's a physical thing. I mean, just like you presenting this book of stepping outside, we have a responsibility to do that, no matter how that is, you know. And the relationships that we have, make those, you know, when you see those little cracks, step into those cracks and impart. But it's beautiful, and I'm thankful for your work for throughout your whole life to like keep on scratching at that question, you know. And there are questions that we all have, you know, that God has given us. That's a beautiful thing, you know, to be. And then that part that stuck with one part. I mean, there's lots that about the dualism, and I feel it. And you mentioned psilocybin, but when I take psilocybin, and I feel God's love, and I feel that whoa of my resistance to that love, you know. And when you said that about dualism is a way for us to, I guess, protect ourselves from whatever we're trying to not have of God's love, you know. And I see that really strong, you know, like even when you were sharing here, I could feel my self-doubt, and I could like point at all these things that were negative and how I compare to other people that I just met in this room, you know, all of that, and just thinking I can just breathe all of that out and be in the moment. And I don't know, I was just, and also thinking about other teachers that I rely on, like Eckhart and Michael Singer, you know, all those people I go to, and how they were imparted knowledge. But it's so beautiful to see your process, you know. I don't know, I just want to say thank you, sister. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a wild ride to allow.
It's so poetic the way it's written. It's this it's like this beautiful tapestry. And I was like noticing a pattern. I guess it seemed like there were parts that you drop into your personal story, and then there's this higher sort of ascended voice, this message of, you know, we're here now. And at some point it started to, like, the way it was, the weaving felt like, it was like, oh, it's like your higher self coming through your personal story, like in a way to ground it. And it was like your angel self or your higher self speaking. It was still you, and at that level of your higher self, it's also our higher selves.
Yeah.
So it's part of that we.
Yeah.
But there is like an autonomous voice to it too, which I think is key, because it's a storyteller and it's taking us through this tapestry. And I was kind of almost imagining it, like if I was reading it as a book, I could see like the Shannon personal stories, you know, of, you know, growing up in your house, or those moments where you ground it into that human experience, almost like would be like in italics or something. Like it would like had some, there's some kind of dynamic interplay that I was feeling between the two voices, even though they're all like your voice.
Totally. I like that.
Yeah.
Because it feels, when it's coming through, I mean, you guys can tell obviously, and that's why it was so wild in the process. Like, even I noticed that my hands will do different things.
Yeah, it was fun watching your hands.
And there
Yeah.
what you see at the Met, you know, all the statues of the
The mudras. Yeah. Yeah, it's really an interesting, it's a very wild process. Yeah.
It's super phenomenal. Like the management of energy to keep your voice at that level for that long. When
Yes.
Transcends. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a great voice. You definitely.
Have you thought of like performing it? I mean, it being a book versus just having it as a one-woman show?
I see it as having a whole like image. I think it has an image, because there's images that are for it. Like to.
Because this was interesting in the background, but it was like if you're performing it, it'd be a stage and there's visuals behind and music and sound and.
I see that. Yeah, that's what I see.
We've talked about a film, like to.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of. It's funny. I want to say Shannon is the type of person. I'm the type of person that would have like created that film for us, but I didn't have enough time. I was like, do I have 5 hours to do this real quick? Yeah, but I do. I see that. I think it would be very
Well, this
powerful.
worked really well because of your ocean and like that, you know, and that was very powerful in the culmination of everything.
Yes.
So it was nice.
Yeah.
This was here.
And isn't it wild to think that we, like, okay, the book, like it coming through and all that is cool, but isn't it wild to really just consider that there's literally no separation?
That image of bioluminescence was very, really powerful. You know, that was just like, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, like when you move your hand through water, bioluminescence, it like charges you. I mean, that image was like really just hit me so powerfully when you were using that. I was like, oh, that's so it, you know? It was really, but I do have a question. You did this a couple times and I'm not sure if I'll remember where it was, but you said you would speak a line and you would say, it is a
Happening.
happening. Okay.
It's a happening.
It's a happening. Okay.
Not it's happening, it's a happening.
Thank you. Okay.
And the feeling that comes with that, and I've actually been told that this should be like a 12-week like group course.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The feeling that comes through with it's an a happening is it's an actual, like what I see, or the image that comes, it's an actual occurrence that's actually happening from us, like a mandala that comes energetically. So it's a happening that's unfolding. So it's not happening, it's a something that is occurring.
These images are so poignant. Like seeing a mandala being created.
whenever you were saying it's A happening, and you did your hands out, when I read the book the first time and hearing it, I feel it as it drops into me, and then it goes out. So it's like A, and I was like, oh, like let go, happening.
Cool.
Just do it more and more, and then pretty soon.
And then you blow the sand away, and then it's gone, you know?
How are you doing over there?
Oh, me?
Both of you.
Oh, you get to me later.
Another semantic that drew I thought a powerful distinction similar to A happening was dis-ease. And I never brought that sense of dis-ease and disease, emotional and physical disease. That I don't know the foundation of those words and how those two come together, but thankfully you emphasized it in a way that I was able to pick up
I was loving
what you said in that moment. But the disease was, that was very poignant.
Yeah. I mean, when I read it just now, I didn't remember the last 3 chapters. Like, that's how wild it was, because I would read it, or I would write it, open my eyes, type it, and the disease part, I remember that because it was very clear that it was a dis-ease. Like, that wasn't, you know what I mean? And sometimes I would have to ask a couple of times, because I'm like, really? Is that okay? Because there's a line that says, no, what is that word?
Autonomy?
Is it mood or
Residency.
No residency resides from a place of unknowing. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I was like, yeah, ask that again, but I could feel what it meant. And what it meant was when we operate from the place in ourselves that pretends that it doesn't know that it's so much more, then we're stuck. So we're not in our authority. So no residency resides in a state of unknowing. It's like...
Do you feel like that was something that stood out to you as like a big lesson from the book? Or do you feel like there was one big thing that after you wrote it, you were like, wow, I need to just...
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think the ones that kind of stood out when I read it later and I was like, wow, that's really freaking cool, was talking about holding multiple consciousnesses in one, and how like the book kind of so eloquently was already holding, like past experience from myself, and then kind of like a higher self and all that, and then kind of circling it back, like, by the way, if you guys were paying attention, we've been already doing this, and to then kind of use that that's been actually a tool that I've used very recently, is holding multiple states of emotion and consciousness for myself and others in one moment. So understanding I can be both upset and happy and empathetic at the same time, and being present to all of those, and not being like, I am fucking mad, but being like, actually, I can be many things at one time, and I get to choose which pathway,
Well, even as you discuss the book, there's a degree of disassociation as you talk about it, as if you are reading a book that you picked up off of a shelf, versus while at the same time you're reading a book that you wrote.
I know.
And I mean, even that duality is pretty interesting to witness.
It's wild. Yeah, because there's things where I was like, discriminatory edging. I actually had to look up the word edging, because I was like, I don't really, is that how you use that? Like, what is that?
So do you feel you were channeling, was it like your childhood self, your future self, your current self, and you were just the vehicle to express it? Did you feel that different? You said holding different consciousness in one. when you were writing, it was like because there was the childhood at the beginning of the baby, and it was the future wise you, old, and then it was the present, or no? Or was it one you?
The actual channel felt more like the actual channel just felt like a very, very smart. This sounds kind of wild. It feels like a much more intelligent group than I feel like this Shannon is. A much more intelligent group that was like, we're gonna give you all of these, because the things in the beginning that I wrote, I actually didn't have in my conscious awareness. Like walking down the hallway of my mom, like past my mom's office, like I was like, oh shit, that happened. That's so weird. So it was actually pulling.
The Akashic records.
It was pulling things and putting them in places where it would, like that thing about me writing in a songwriting class. I didn't remember that. I was like, wow.
You didn't remember the lyric?
I just didn't, like the last time I thought about that was probably when I was 15, you know?
Yeah.
So it was.
It's a great lyric.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So cute. I was like imagining
Really
little
good.
Shannon writing the song.
I was like, yeah. What song is she quoting right now? When you said it, I was like,
It was like, that was a pretty good one. Yeah.
There was
So.
also this, like, you said it a few times, like, we are here now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was interesting because it gave this, like, grander sense of time or cycles or something. And I was like, okay, so were you not here before? Like, wait, like, when is this, like, it's here now with you, it's here now, it's like a new presence for the earth or for humans, or like, it was, I don't know, there's a lot of, like, layers to that.
There's two ways to think of now, right?
Yeah.
We are here now, or
Yeah.
we're here now. Like we've always been here now.
Right.
Or we are
That's
here.
true.
Now
right.
we just got here.
We've always been here
Right.
now, right?
Well, that's like what Marcus Aurelius says in his meditations. He says, like, there's no reason to fear death, because when you leave, you've already left your past behind. So you don't need to worry about leaving your past because it's already been left behind.
Yeah.
And, you have no future because the only thing you have is this one moment. And so as long as you're fully in this moment, and you always be in the now, then you don't need to worry about leaving it because you're always
Yeah.
here. You're always
Right.
So.
High five for the Stoic reference.
I understand what you're saying though, because you were talking about that there was this kind of pointing to that something was happening differently now.
Well, also because there's a little bit of your personal journey and awakening, and your, you as a child being so open, and then going into school and having discrimination, and then coming out of discrimination, realizing there is no separation. So there is like this, a little bit of your personal journey of awakening to this no separation yourself as a person. And then you have this, like, higher realm voice coming through. And then I was just thinking, I was like, okay, like, it's very comforting actually to hear we're with you now, or we're here with you now, kind of. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Like, I like that, but I was also kind of, then I was like, oh, well, like, was there a time where almost like, the veil was thicker, and there was more of an illusion of separation? Is it like the idea that the illusion is fading, and so that we can feel that now, I guess?
The veil is thin.
Yeah.
The feeling that I got with that was 100% yes.
Yeah.
Like there's something that's occurring in this rendition of the experience where it's very different than what has happened in our previous, like, most recent timeline.
Yeah.
That it's very, and it feels like the next, and this is just what it feels like. It feels like the next 7 years are going to be something that we've not seen in our history, from the veil perspective. I think part of from what your question, it was like, what are some of the things that kind of stuck out? And there was kind of, it was saying, and aren't we more aware of it happening? Like, aren't we more like present to there's something that's, you know, occurring here? Like, aren't we more having those moments where we're like, wait, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, you know, aren't we more present to that now than we ever have been before in our history? I'm not sure, because I don't know if I've ever been in those moments, but...
Are you saying a culmination of existence?
What the feeling is that we are able to witness it now. Some of us are able to be a witness now more than we have been on a greater collective scale.
It is very interesting, our time.
Yeah, that's what that was kind of pointing to. It's like that there's this, that being a little less like stuck in a cog in a wheel and more like, wait, am I a cog? Is this a wheel? Like, wait a second, what is going on right now?
So something that I always circle around with you from the first time I met you was your ease and comfort around evil or things that I would consider bad. And when it was a puzzle because you had such a comfort with it. You know, when I would think of things, you just seemed like had an acceptance around it. I don't know if I can say acceptance. And I guess working in some shadow work, you know, the last few years for myself, and seeing the need to accept that all the evil in the world is me. You know, just like that. Anyway, it's the rapist and the raped. You know, and I think that first time I met you, I didn't have that. So when you were saying that, it set that puzzle in my brain. It's like, what does that even mean? You know, to feel a comfort with that. So let me toss that back and see if you have anything to add to that, because I'm a different person because I walked in a river, you know, whatever that point is.
So what's the question?
Okay, I guess it's in light of what's happening now, when we see such a dualism and such a more rift between, we see darkness more clearly than we did before.
Darkness more
and it's having a comfort with that, or knowing it's part of the process. I don't know.
So,
and part of the dualism and part of the push and pull of just acceptance.
And was there something that was in a chapter that kind of sparked that? Like a little like...
I guess it's bouncing off the dualism.
So there's an aspect in the last couple of chapters that was about shadow, and this is something where I was like, wow, that's profound. Because I've read that a couple times now, about basically the shadow the shadow in our culture, from what I'm getting, is that it's anything that we are judging and calling it good or bad. But everything that we judge is somewhere capable in us. So if we're judging anything outside of us, we are also capable of that. And if we're not fully allowing ourselves to be loving of all of it, then we will never truly know the full expression of ourselves as divinity, which is capable of every possibility. So if we push anything away in our expression, then there is no true knowing of ourselves, because we will never truly know what that is. Doesn't mean that we have to be acting or expressing it out in our environment, but it does mean that we have to honor that it's all possible for us.
Wow.
Was there anything for you that felt like a sort of getting it out of you, like a cathartic experience for you? Was there any sort of freeing that you got to a new state, that sort of release?
No, I mean, honestly, like none of it felt like it was mine. Like, even though there's stories of me, it just felt like I was just like, boop, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that part's rather wild. I mean, it feels, and I do.
Or insights that you got from the releasing of it, because you're obviously the most personal to it. We're hearing it from your perspective.
I think it's just allowing me to learn just as if anyone else was learning from it. You know what I mean? Like the experience of it just felt very, like if we're tuning into our full expression, it feels like the most natural, really. Like whatever we are channeling from a higher source or from the expression that is our divinity, and we're able to be that at any moment. And so in this sense, like there was no release because it's always there. I'm just opening and allowing it to be. So I think the only separation or the only experience of this is something that's moving through me is the personality that I play as Shannon, you know, which like operates my life. And then the other one where if I just allow myself to be all that, I mean, to be completely honest, sometimes when I'm like, hell, I could walk around like that all the time. I'm like, that might be kind of intense for people. That's what my thought is, you know? I'm like, that might be a little intense.
You good though, you good. I feel that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
He'll walk around in his own intenseness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen his intenseness. It's some good shit. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Like the different ages, it was interesting that they were very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially 10 months,
Right.
being so specific, I guess the baby experience.
Mm-hmm.
Was your 10, 5, 8, 15? Different.
Something like that, I think, yeah.
I've now heard this 3 times and had an evolving relationship to it and take more takeaways. So the point about it being read multiple times by people, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a comfort level specifically around darkness and the happenings and the chronicling of ages and past, because my main takeaway continues to be that this is happening to us, but mostly for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we are here with you now, that now is the only time. The future exists as a thought now. The past is a reflection that we harbor now. We cannot experience anything but now. And the happening for us, I think about our story and things that have happened, and to those who don't know, after our journey in Mexico, we were in the throes of a spiritual awakening and we took some time apart. And we often reference the Zen master and the boy who got the horse, you know, we'll see. And it was a bad thing, it was a hard thing, it was a dark thing. We'll see. Because I then went home for a month and spent a month with my father, which turned out to be one of the last months of his life. Every day over coffee talking about life and sports. And then he passed away, which was a dark, bad thing. We'll see. Because she then came down from Oregon to console me, and it brought us back together. So the comfort level that I find and that this is just driven home is this is actually an extremely ordinary unfolding, a happening, versus extraordinary because we planned it. And it's just going according to our plan. All of us. The last thing, I didn't get it until tonight. There's one date in that book.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
It's today's date.
And you didn't plan that?
Well, I mean, I knew today was going to be the day, but it just was, it was the
Crazy.
day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I looked at Connie, and she was like, hey!
I know, I was like, wait, that's today.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was meant for this group today.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Just
Totally.
like we planned it.
2/24, 2024, 2/24,
Yeah.
2024. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
The next reading will be a year from today.
That's right.
February 24th.
It's
That's right.
once a year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe. Thank you guys.
but it
Thanks
might,
for-
it might need to be
Yeah.
2/25, 20/25. It was one day past 1 year.
Yeah.
Well, when you're reading it live, you could play with it, but it did have significance of people's birthdays, right? The date,
Yep,
yeah,
yeah. Yep, Dad's birthday.
and your teacher's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah.
Thank you
Happy
guys
birthday
for...
to your dad,
I know.
and your teacher.
Yeah. Thank you guys for holding the space
Yeah.
and for however long that was. That was an hour, a little bit more.
It's definitely the first time, because I read it the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I had the same thing Rafa had, where when you saw me, you saw what happened to me.
Mhm.
I was here all day, I'm a normal person. And then I got up in the middle and went downstairs, and I was like, I feel like I've been taking drugs, but I haven't. And I read the whole thing, and I was activated.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're reading it and it's going in your brain, sitting, it's like doing something.
Mm-hmm.
You almost like you're like, the same thing happened to Rafa, don't worry. It's just like,
It's gonna be
what?
fine.
Yeah, take
It's
some
like,
time.
what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Do you feel an obligation?
an obligation?
And do you feel it challenges you to, there's something that you now have to do to live?
Oh, ooh. That's a good question. I don't feel an obligation, no, that's not how I feel. It felt more like just another drop in the ocean, like another, I just feel like over the years I've been like learning how to breathe deeper and deeper into my body. And like each journey, each experience, I get to like a new level of depth. And then in moments when I'm kind of keyed out, I can like drop back into that so fast and so easy because I practiced it so many times. And this was like a new way to come at it. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you were talking about, when you say it's happening, it's good, yeah. like 2016, 2017, I was like, more people are starting to notice what I see, and I was like, oh, it's just my friends, because that was all who kind of noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2019 and especially 2020 and 2021, I was like, oh shit, people that aren't in this are starting to notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And now
What's the it?
the veil is thinning,
Dissolving.
and we can create, there's karma snapbacks much faster if you're paying attention. Like before you would do something and then something very would happen, it could be years later, weeks later, you wouldn't put it together unless maybe something happened and you go, oh whoa, that was odd, that happened to me then, and it
Yeah.
seemed connected. And now, and as I get more command over the energy or understanding of it, something will happen and I'll turn around and I'll be like, oh shit, the exact mirror of it is happening again. I'm like, oh shit, this is like the magic's happening faster.
For every action, there's an
Everything.
equal
And
and
it
opposite
happens.
reaction. So the boomerang is like,
The boomerang's
boom,
fast
yeah.
as fuck. So like the more you learn how to master it, or understand it, control it, feel it, and then you just have to have more awareness of the darkness and shadow, because if you get really fucking pissed, and even think a thought, I mean, you had an experience where you were channeling some anger out of your window in yoga, and the gutter across the street fell off their house.
Which I felt terrible.
And she was like,
I mean, it was like within hours.
and so she said, I'm getting the repair, and she was like, oh my god, I was doing.
I was like, should I pay for this? I feel so
Usually,
bad.
please leave a note.
You'll leave a note, that's right. Leave a note on the windshield.
I'm sorry about that.
My negative vibes destroyed your gutter.
Yeah.
Sign.
I immediately called my friend who's a yogi. She's been coaching forever, and I was like, okay, so that didn't work. Where should I put it? She's like, ground it down, girl, ground it down. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
that's like a great scene in like a movie or
I
something.
know.
Right,
Yeah, seriously.
It's like the housewife doing yoga, she's pissed off.
Yeah.
It was truly unbelievable. I was like,
But then it would be a superhero movie, and then you would like destroy the entire
But yeah,
That's
you
amazing.
can test it now. Like I've been testing it now
Uh-huh.
because I'm like, okay, we just especially with social media. The algorithm shows you what you want to see. We're in the world. We're interacting more with people that are more like us. But I test it all the time now. I'll be at the grocery store. I'll talk to people that are in completely different circumstances that I'm 99% sure are not exposed or would maybe even understand words or concepts. They just have not been exposed, and I'll just, and they're like, man, and they're shocked, and they're saying these things, and I'm like, okay, they might not have the same words I use, but I had this guy in a parking lot, and he always just was, every time I saw him, he was always hammered, and I was like, but I went up one day, there was definitely like, something was fucking going down that day. I was like, what is going on? And I went up and I was like, how's your day going? He's like, it's fine. And I was like, does it feel kind of weird to you today? And he goes, nope. And I was like, okay. And I walk away. I see him again the next day and he goes, hey, come here. And I go, what? And he goes, do you know how you asked me if there was something weird yesterday? And I go, yeah. He goes, I kind of lied. He goes, it was fucking weird. He starts telling me all this
You cracked
stuff.
his world open.
And he starts just telling me all this stuff, and he's like, what the hell? And I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the stars right now. And he's like, what? I go, you know, the planets, the astrology. He goes, what? I go, there's a reason this is happening. And he's like, yeah. And we ended up having these little conversations whenever I'd see him, but like, he's like, hey, come here. So you noticed it too. I'm like, yes, this is happening. Like, this is fucking real, dude.
Something else I felt with the reading was such a deep appreciation for Buddhism and for Thistle's ancient wisdom. And I mean, something growing up Christian you don't connect with, but just it's so tied to all the numerology and all of that. I mean, I just feel the rhythm and the connection with that in those ancient practices that I never felt with Christianity. And I don't know. I just your reading of that, you just I appreciate your depths of searching and all that, and also being raised in that. And there's a certain amount of that you that is just part of who you are, you know. And it's just beautiful. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I wouldn't even know what part is part of Buddhism, which is interesting.
It's the mysticism, I think, and being able to have a comfort with the not knowing. It seems like Christianity has to label things.
And then no separation, which is
Universality, rather than being connected and
Yeah.
so it does have that, which
nature and
connected.
connected.
I was like, I don't think I've ever listened to or read like a channeled book where the channeler places themselves. It's usually like this other entity coming through, and once you're with that other entity that's being channeled, you don't go back to the channeler. Like you don't go into their life. Like maybe like Abraham Hicks will like refer to it's people sort of. But it's like an almost third person or something. So I thought that was, I mean, maybe I'm also not like an expert of channel books. Also, maybe that's not the case, but that was new for me, which was, I mean, seems dynamic just in terms of like kind of switching up the format a little bit.
I think that's one of the bigger expressions of the book, or just the whole frequency of it, which is like there isn't an other, you know? That.
But it could also be personal, because if it's everything, then it's like there's no separation, and you do, even in those like that sort of ascended voice kind of would go from like we, like as though it's talking to us, and then it would speak from this kind of tone like all of us, we're all going through this together. I noticed a little subtlety in that perspective.
It was like weaving between like three different consciousness.
Thinning of the veil.
Yeah.
You know what's
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think you were saying it earlier too, but it's like being able to hold like multiple, almost like time versions or emotional states of yourself in one, which is kind of like that. There's the story of the person, there's the ascended higher version, and then there's the whole thing merged together, all being held in that now. And it's interesting, like it's subtly weaving, but it worked. But like you couldn't over explain it, then it would be like
totally.
But,
yeah. But when you're listening or reading it, you're like, oh, there's this thing that's happening in the background, you know, and then it's like, hey, you might have noticed that there's this.
I could notice like when it hopped to, but it was all done as like one continuous voice. So it's wild.
I feel like it's a bit like we were talking about last night, where we're saying like the book of 84. But all of these different experiences that are happening in the now, and I was just thinking of this because it's just so hard to conceptualize, but you know how like some animals can see UV light? UV light is just, it's here, it's always here, but like we just can't see it. But some people can put on glasses and then you can see the UV light. So their experience of what is happening right now is totally different than what we are, even though we're all here. We're all right here, this is it, this is all there is. But like that UV light changes how things look, you know? Even though it's just, this is it, you know? It's not like, oh, now I'm in a new higher dimension or whatever. It's like, no. Yeah, it's just
More coming in. The aperture opens.
Totally.
And did you notice different feelings when you were channeling that different parts of it? Or did you feel different?
Well, just even reading it feels different. Yeah, like one of them feels like there's, it's like different tones on a music scale.
Reading it and hearing it, I can attest, right, is wildly different.
Yeah, I want to know.
It's so different. Yeah, I feel like when I read it, it was like hitting me in the head and sinking in, and I was like, whoa. And this time I was just like breathing, and I got to practice the feet, like the somatic, like I was having a somatic experience happen to me when I read it. And this time I was allowing a somatic experience. Like I could have chosen to like try to focus on each word and listen, but I didn't do that. Maybe because I already read it, so I was like, but I just instead just kept allowing it to ripple through me. Before I didn't have a choice. Like when you read the words, there's no, like I didn't perceive that I had a choice, which happens in, I'll share with you, Jamie, there's actually a channel book that you would really like. Her channel name is Rasha. It's called Oneness. And then after she has Journey to Oneness, which is in a format like Shannon's, where she's telling you what was happening in her life as she's sitting channeling this profound, and she was a woman who literally had this happen to her and was like, am I losing my mind? She wasn't somebody who necessarily done it, but it was what's really trippy for me.
It's normal.
What's really trippy is that you tell the story of the six of us, and Lisa was there at your house that night when that thing started happening. That's when you and I met. We sat next to each other. We have this co-reading thing happening. That's the month you channeled this, 18 days, right? Which I've written a book. That's what you just said to us, and I read before any editing. It's pretty much that. There might be a comma gone, or you might have forgotten to type a the. For you to channel that, I don't know. It's almost humanly impossible.
Yeah, I can't believe we're already hearing the book. Because that night I was like, I want to hear more about this book you're channeling. And you're like, kind of like, I'm not ready to talk about it. And then you're like, but in 1 month I'll just read you the whole thing.
I saw the first chapter. It's not like she's been. You have not been editing this. That was the book. So first of all, that's just not. I'm a person who can do this, not the channeling, I can write a book, that's a skill. That's not a thing that is normally happens.
And also, I've also never written a book before.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not normal. So on top, so that happens
Yeah.
December.
Did you edit it at all, or that's just exactly how it came out?
No, that's how it came out. I would open my eyes and correct.
Typo or
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
So you have us together in December. We all.
Was it
January.
Was it January? Okay.
Early January.
So early January. Maybe
And
you
we
get.
met.
Maybe you get where I'm going.
Yeah. Well,
No, what month was it?
oh, we
I saw
met
you
in
outside.
early. we met in
Didn't you
December
meet
after
New Year's Day?
India.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Ooh.
And then we saw each other at a Christmas party. in December.
That's what. Yeah.
So you channel this book December to January. There's 18 days over December, January. We all meet in early January at your house. Is that accurate? Okay. In November of last year, I'm like, I'm gonna make a podcast, and I put the first episode out in December, and it's called The Infinite Drop. And your entire last
Yeah.
When I first read the book and I was sitting here, I'm already like, after I've come downstairs. So by the way, you don't know this. You don't know this. In January, we're sitting at the house doing the co-channeling, our different intuitive things that we have. And you say, I've channeled a book. I said, I have a publishing company.
I know.
And then you get a hold of me and you go, come over to my house. You're like, I want you didn't know anything about me or anything. You go, I want you to publish this. I'm like, okay. And then you give me the book and I come up here and I sit down and I'm reading it. And I come downstairs, I'm already I'm tripping out. I'm like, I'm now on drugs, I have to drive home. And I did not anticipate this. And I have all this crazy emotion coming out where I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then I come up in the second to last and last chapter, you're talking about the drops of consciousness in the ocean, and then you use the word infinite. You said the infinite, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And the podcast is about, it's two things. We are all the infinite drops into consciousness, and then the infinite drop of knowledge. Like you'll always be a new drop of knowledge. And so to hear it from, because I read it and I was like, what's going on?
When you said that,
And then when you said it and I look up and I'm like, what? So there's the thing where it's the veil is thinning. It's like, this is just happening.
And we're all writing the story.
We're all writing the story. Because you say it's a memoir of us. And I'm like, the timing, it's like the
Synchronicities and
it's like we're all like getting on the same wavelength.
And just picking up like as if we are the bioluminescence and source is just doing this. And if we're like open enough, we can be like, oh really? Okay.
I already thought like, because we've already talked about you're gonna come on the podcast or whatever, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna read the last chapter and we're gonna tell the story and blow people's minds. Like,
I love that.
It's crazy. It's like this. It's very cool, and it makes it more. It just makes it more even. I mean, real. When you say like there is no division, there is no separation. I'm like, dude, we didn't even. And like you were there, you saw what happened. That night was trippy. That was trippy.
Yeah, that's when Shannon saw Aspen's grandma in the room.
Damn, dude.
And she was like, yeah, I called her in earlier.
It's when you saw the black night sky with the stars. You're like, that's your home. I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck. That's crazy that you're saying that. And last night, the stars, like we know it's. I'm not from here. That is my home. That's crazy.
It's been.
Maybe the 10-month-old was you.
That's right. That's right. And somebody's the cat.
How did you all come together?
Well, and Lisa and and they're sisters.
Yeah. Corey's my sister.
So the first was Jonathan and Chris. We connected Elisa.
Just to be specific.
We started it all just
All this old chit chat here.
You know what is crazy? I'm gonna send
And then
you
it
guys
turned
a
out we
picture.
were like next door neighbors.
Right.
Which was
I'm gonna
crazy.
send you a picture. I did this. I did a 1-hour meditation and a channeled art thing, and and I have an image of now I'm going around
Of Jacqueline.
of a fucking ship in the
Jacqueline
sea.
Krieger, who introduced Aubrey and I.
Yeah, shockwave. I did this channel thing of a ship in the sea, and I literally did, I channeled a poem in front of this scribe and this witness. It's a lot big, it's a long story. But I channeled this poem, and I said that this year, the divine masculine will lead and bring the ships together. So you guys met, created the ships and the divine feminine.
And I have a men's group called the Divine Machete.
Do you really?
I'm gonna send you this
And
image.
Yeah.
he does have
There is no future and past, there is only now, so I will have it.
Yes.
On that note,
Yes.
Chris, it all really started with Larry.
No, John Bolton.
Oh, wasn't Larry?
A mutual friend of ours said, hey, I know a guy in Nashville. I moved to Nashville. I'm in the music industry. He's in the music industry. He's like, do you know John? I said, no. He said, I'll connect you guys.
It was Larry.
No, no, it's John Bolton. And so, so a mutual friend connected us, and we went and had drinks together one night, and sitting there having drinks. He's like, where do you live? And I was like, oh, I'm over in Brentwood. He's like, oh, I'm in Brentwood. And I was like, oh, I'm down, Concord, and you turn off Sunset, like across from the Governor's Club. He's like, I'm off Concord across from Governor's Club. I was like, yeah, but I go down this street, and I'm like, and I'm on the corner between so-and-so and so-and-so. And he goes, I live on the corner. And we lived, you could look out our doors, and
We were out the window.
so we followed each other home that night.
That's synchronistic.
And we had been living there across the street from each other at that point a year.
That's
I had
right.
no idea.
Yeah.
A mutual friend
Cake.
introduced. It was so bizarre.
It's very
That's
And so then,
That's
so from that,
That's how it was.
yeah, and so from that,
Okay.
that's
Tell me
how
about
Jamie and Lisa.
Yeah.
That's now how.
Is this idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So you gotta be able to,
obviously
like,
neighbors
you
and
know,
then
you
food,
know,
Jacqueline.
I'll do food.
So basically you're
We're
welcome.
all talking about
Basically
it.
that's it.
Think about it. It's not real. She also did this piece of
Yeah.
art and she
Yeah.
had like used a collage and
Manifest.
she won Aubrey before she met Jacqueline and it
Okay.
was from
Oh.
Jacqueline. It was an article about Jacqueline and Shockwave and she had cut out the image.
It's from a magazine
This
years
idea.
before. I
Before you
literally
ever met.
Yeah.
Because
And
I had a
You
chakra-based
take things in your life,
meditation
you
company
see
called
like
the
bad
Seven
things
Flow.
that you don't
So this is
want.
when I lived in LA.
And,
I see this magazine with Deepak Chopra, I open it, there's a feature
And so
on
I felt
Jacqueline
like,
and her
you know, my
chakra-based juices, so I cut it out, I was like,
drives me
I gotta meet
the
this
house,
girl.
and I'm like, there's color
This is
everywhere, you know?
This is now
So
10
you
years
start with
ago,
something
but
like that, it's not like,
8
you know,
years, so I
I
had
had a
this,
horrible childhood, we like,
I
don't
moved.
start there.
Mm.
You
I
know,
must
but
have
like,
dropped
and
this
she's like,
slip
you know,
of paper in one of my art portfolios. I go to an astrology
why
conference
you actually like it.
8 years
You know, what
after
is
doing
it
this,
actually
never look at it again,
From
dropped
like,
it, and I
if
moved.
you were to think of
Go to
it,
this
like,
astrology
your
conference,
unconscious
meet
self,
her, we instantly bond, start
actually
talking. I
you know,
don't remember her obviously, I'm just
you know,
talking to
think
her,
through
we become
all these
friends.
things, that's why,
Right.
you know,
You're not
like you
actually,
guys.
it's a sign of my kids growing, and you know, like all these
But
things, right?
earlier last year, she says,
And
hey,
then-
why don't you come out to
then
Marin?
you
I
just
said,
really
okay,
love
maybe I'll
that.
think about it. I do a tarot
accept
reading for
that,
her.
and
It's
then you don't
pretty spot on.
have
She's
to
like, this is
with it.
incredible.
She says, but
That
like
night,
many
I went upstairs, I
times,
sat
what
down, and all of a
happens is
sudden
that
my brain
you
is like,
don't have to hold on to it anymore.
so I'm like, is my heart
You know?
just, I know they're supercomputers.
And
Is
it's
this
a
like the
really cool idea. And
supercomputer
I
part of
mean,
the brain?
not all the way
File
all the way
it,
through,
yeah.
Or is
but I've
this
just like
magic?
practiced so
sitting
far
down
for
there,
this
and all of a
idea.
sudden my head's
Walking
like,
into what
go
gives
up to
you-
your art portfolios and see what you did in the past. I've never, in 8 years, I've not done this. Okay, how do I know that? Because I hadn't opened these
And I
fucking
think
things
it's
in 8
And I
years.
see in my car,
So I'm just like, go upstairs, open them, start
Two
laying the art out on the ground, and slip a paper
what
falls out. And
has
I'm like,
become, I now know is the iconic dream
fuck, and I hold it up, and it says
walking
Jacqueline
into our
Krieger,
house.
and I drop the
And
paper, and I'm
knowing,
backing
as
up
I'm
from
walking
the
in,
room,
I'm
and
laughing, and just like,
because I just met her 3 months
you
before,
know,
and I'm like,
when I'm in this room.
why do I have a fucking cutout of this woman I
Okay,
just
show
met?
yourself.
And
You
you
know,
just hung out
and
with
so
her
she
friend.
came in,
I just hung out,
you
no,
know,
and then I was,
coming out
she
and-
asked me to.
Oh,
come.
you were
She
just
asked
on
me
the
to
reading
come.
for her.